Bill Budge was one of the great game programmers of the early Apple II era. Today I want to talk about what was probably the first truly great computer pinball game, Raster Blaster. Raster Blaster was a pinball game that resembled the Williams table Firepower. The game led to a number of clones, such as the Black Knight-inspired David's Midnight Magic. Budge would later return to pinball with Pinball Construction Set, a game that let you make your own tables, which was at first self-published and then licensed to the then new company Electronic Arts. This game looks primitive to us today, but there's some context that explains why we're talking about it. The Apple II was, by today's standards, an impossibly slow machine. Even writing in assembly language, animation and graphics routines could be too slow to allow fast action games. Specifically, the way that high-res graphics are memory mapped in the Apple II is really weird. It has a 64:1 interleave factor. What this means is that if you start filling graphics memory from the start and go up by one memory location, when you reach the end of a line of pixels, the next line will be 64 pixels below it. When loading images, you see them appear in a Venetian blind pattern. Doing anything complicated with Apple II graphics thus required some tricky math, and if you did it in the straightforward way, it would often be slow. Bill Budge's expertise was in figuring out how to get speed out of the machine. Even before Raster Blaster, he released a toolkit used for his space games that allowed one to create and manipulate 3D wireframe images. In 1981, this was nothing short of amazing. For Raster Blaster, Budge didn't just have to figure out how to draw graphics quickly, he had to innovate in the game logic as well. To quote Budge himself, "The collision detection was kind of a nightmare, because no matter what I tried, the ball would sometimes stick to a wall and freeze or slide right through. I made a scan line table. For each scan line on the screen, I entered a list of wall locations, together with the slope of the wall at that point. To collision detect the ball with the game board, I used the ball Y coordinate to index into the table and the X coordinate to check against all the walls at that Y." Raster Blaster sold about 25,000 copies in a year. In today's world, where video games sell by the millions, that doesn't sound like a lot. But what it did was show other programmers and game players that it was possible to do amazing graphics and physics on the Apple II. Raster Blaster isn't important just because of how many it sold, but because it inspired an entire generation of games. Thanks for watching, and if you've got an old computer topic you'd like to hear me talk about, drop a line in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.